Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending another great contents and great podcast on real estate investing. And my name is Seewing from the Yi Real Estate Network. And my special guest is Miss Maureen McCann from Spartan Invest. Thank you for attending, Maureen, once again. I know you are extremely busy person and you have a very, very busy life professionally and everything else. And thank you for coming on board and sharing some great educational real estate contents.
Hi, Seewing, ready to roll. Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. So without further ado, let me share my screen. And here we are. Oops. Oh, oops, almost clicked the wrong one. Let me share my, all right, in fact, let me enlarge my screen a little bit more. Right. This topic, we're going to talk about a tale of three types of home buyers, pros and cons. So before we start, I will briefly just to share everyone that a rental property, whether you're buying single family home, residential investing asset class, or duplex or triplex or fourplex, this is as far as I'm going. I'm sure you feel the same way, 1 to 4 units. So rental property in this type of asset class is history's most powerful and proven multi-dimensional real estate asset class, and is the most tax favored real estate asset class as well, because you're getting 4 different ways to make money over time as a real estate investor. So one way is the number one is income, which is cash flow, the material depreciation, which is part of the whole big scheme of tax benefits. And number 3 is the equity growth, appreciation over time. And the lastly is the leverage portion, where there's no other asset class out there that allow you to leverage by getting a 30-year fixed rate loan to the tune of you're only risking 1/4 of the asset, which is 25% down payment, and the lender or the mortgage company will risk the 75% of the asset. So, if you have any kind of quick comment around the multi-dimensional asset of a real estate investment property that I just went over, any quick comment on that, Maureen?
Yeah, no, it is ideal. And I think when investors are really looking for a place to place their capital, why not place it in an asset class that pays you in more than one way? So I know we've on previous podcasts, we've talked about that. I know there's a lot of people out there talking about the experts and investors who know this to be true. They are talking about these 5 ways as well. So it's always a good reminder to think about when you guys are looking at in an economic cycle like this, where to place your capital. Recognize that hard assets like real estate pay in multiple ways. So take it away, Seewing.
Very good, very good. So, so the topic today is there are 3 types of home buyers and the pros and cons. So let's go with them. We have primary home buyers, which is the owner occupied types, and then there are renters that are hoping to buy a primary home someday, but rather, quote unquote, own nothing and be happy.
Yeah, they don't want that responsibility.
Exactly. And the third category is real estate investors / landlord who aspire to own a lot of real estate and like to take the philosophy way that own a lot of real estate and be happy. Don't worry, be happy.
And think about this, Seewing. I just saw this. I don't know if you saw this, but there was an article that recently came out. Goldman Sachs went down to a community in Florida and bought, it was $45 million worth of single family homes to rent out. So why would Goldman Sachs be willing to plunk down $45 million and buy an entire community of single family homes in Florida? You think they're going to be occupying them? No. Are they going to be renting them? Yes. Are they going to own in the multiple? Are they going to earn in the multiple ways that we've talked about and shared on the previous slide? They are. So if it's good enough for Goldman Sachs, you guys, it is good enough for you.
Hold that thought for another topic. I have a slideshow that will talk about that.
Okay.
Where everybody want to enter the single family home space, right?
Mhm.
We have, anyway, we will reserve that for another topic,
Okay.
another video. I have all that prepared. I know what's going on.
I trust you. Let's go.
Everybody and their brother are trying to enter the single family home residential space. Just keep that in mind. So because it's very lucrative, that's why.
It is.
All right. So primary home buyers. Let's talk about primary home buyers. What are the pros of a person buying a primary home to live? The pros are they're going to build equity over time. Wow, what a novel concept. And another pro is they're getting mortgage payment. They're getting tax deductions on a Schedule A itemized deduction on a tax return. And the cons are they must qualify for a mortgage loan. Right? You got to have a very good credit. You have a very good income that can qualify for the house you want to buy. You need to have down payment. It doesn't have to be 20%, could be lower, could be 10% down on a conventional loan, could be FHA, 3.5% down payment, could be a VA, which is a 0% down payment, which I know something about because I have done several of them over my lifetime, and I will continue to do that as well. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, bear in mind, when the people buying a primary home to live, they have to allocate 30 to 40% of their monthly paycheck to pay their housing costs. So that's a very heavy financial responsibility because if one would lose their job, the worst case scenario, they might have to sell their house at a distressed level or worse, a foreclosure. So a lot of home buyers, they have this kind of fear and the too much responsibility, and they may not want to pursue the so-called American dream of owning their primary home at some point in their life. So what are your thoughts on this particular
well, if anyone that's a homeowner listening to this podcast, they're going to recognize that over the last 24 months, there have been exceptional equity growth in their homes. And you and I live in markets where many of these call them California-based homeowners, they will tap into the equity and they will use that to purchase other assets that produce cash flow because they recognize that. So this is true. I mean, you want to build equity. You want to take the tax deduction off the mortgage interest. You do have to qualify. There are some other loans, not necessarily for the primary homeowner, but for the investor we'll talk about. But yes, you do have to have good credit. You have to qualify. You have to have a down payment. All of those things are very true. A large portion of our income goes to the monthly supporting the property. And it does, if you don't have multiple streams of income and you lose your main source of income, then yes, it does bring on some distress. So I would agree with these pros and cons, Seewing.
Very good, very good. All right, next slide. So let's talk about a renter. Okay, a renter, the pros and cons. The pros are one, it is cheaper than home ownership. Mm-hmm. Two, the renter's ability and the flexibility to move more often. Mm-hmm. And three, they're not burdened with the heavy responsibility of home ownership. And the cons of a renter are they are quote unquote throwing away the rents. They're not getting any kind of equity, and they're making landlords rich. And right now, with the 40-year high of inflation, their rents are being raised because of inflation. So they have no control over it, and they have to, pay a lot more rents and nothing to do about it. And finally, the cons are not achieving the American dream of associating with home ownership. So with that in mind, what are your thoughts in this?
So, because I look at this as an investor, and I go, all these are benefits to us as investors, but it is to the detriment's the right word, but a renter does not have the advantages that a homeowner would. They lose out by not owning. They lose out on the phantom income through equity growth or appreciation. They lose out on the control of what their monthly payment is, right? Because they have to just be susceptible to the economics of the time. And as inflation has risen, so have rents risen exponentially. So they don't have any control over that. There's really not much that they gain except for what you said in their first slide, which was kind of owe nothing, not owe nothing and be happy. So that they can just make their monthly mortgage or their monthly rent payment. That is what is a goal of theirs. And most people, and we've lived through several times now, Seewing, through the global financial meltdown as well as the pandemic. And people, housing is a basic need and people will pay for their basic needs. So renters are kind of at the mercy of the landlord.
Yep, agree. Unfortunately, on a historical basis, the home ownership rate in America is around 60%. But giving the home affordability at a 40-year low right now because of the median price of a home nationwide is mid $400K, which is mind-boggling. So with that in mind, the American dream is slowly not a realistic option for many renters, and I predict you and I that it is becoming a renters nation moving forward. For the next generation, more and more people will be in the renter pool, and the big picture is the percentage of Americans that will be renting for the next decade or so will be at an all-time high, probably at least 65% or 70% of the nation's people over time moving forward will be renters. 70% will be renters and around 30% will be homeowners in the foreseeable future. So what are your thoughts about what I just said?
That is pretty compelling. I think the historical high home ownership in the United States was 67%. And last I checked, it was at 64, but that was a while back, and your new number is 60%. So it does make sense that there is a decline in the acquisition of a primary home. I don't think the desire has waned as much as the ability to be able to purchase. But I think about, what are the actions of what can investors do today to position themselves in a way that would help build their wealth? Because if you think about it, one of the biggest wealth builders, really, especially in times right now when we're in a low supply, high demand, is that we become equity rich, right? We become equity rich, and that's just holding the paper, right? So renters don't really have that ability when they don't own to collect on that one way of earning through owning a property is through the equity growth that comes with it. So there's a reason I think people talk about the American dream, and maybe it's just a dream in general across the globe. Owning a primary residence has benefits that far outweigh what a renter would benefit from just from renting.
Yeah, very sad indeed. Anyway, hopefully things will change for the better, and people can have more access to becoming homeowners.
I think they will, Seewing. Don't you think? I mean, we've been through this cycle before. The interest rates rise, it cools the economy, then they come back down to generate stimulus for more cash to be in the market, circulating and getting people into. I think it was President Bush that basically said, everyone needs to be able to own a home. And so we recognize that. We just have to make it available and possible. And that's really through the policies that are from the leadership of the country to be able to make it affordable for those uh,
Yeah.
those people that want to be able to buy a home.
Exactly. That brings us to the final slideshow in this video is that the last category are real estate investor slash landlords. So let's go over the pros and cons. The pros are rental property, as we mentioned, is historically most attractive, proven multi-dimensional tax favor investment asset class in the world over many, many years in history. And number two is all one need is the down payment. And as they say, the rest is gravy. Or as I say, not what they say. And we can go over that briefly momentarily about what I mean by the rest is gravy. I'm sure you know what I'm getting at.
I do.
And the third pros are the tenants' monthly rent that you're collecting as a landlord will pay off the landlord's mortgage, taxes, insurance, property management fee, vacancies, maintenance, and still have something extra left over at the end of the month, otherwise known as positive cash flow. So therefore, tenants are making the landlords rich. And then I could only come up with one cons of becoming a real estate investor slash landlord is that investor need the down payment, 20 to 25% down payment in order to buy a rental property. And then of course they need good credit, which is not everyone have that. So what are your thoughts on this particular?
Yeah, well, this is my business. You know, I've been doing this for 13 years. So I'm a huge proponent of owning rental properties as a landlord and having all of the benefits of the mortgage being paid down, all of my expenses being paid by the rent, and then having the extra cash flow left over. This is what I have built Spartan Invest on, or my team and I have built Spartan Invest on, because no one person does this alone for sure. I would add one other con though to your list, which is, you've got to have the down payment and the good credit. You also have to have good education and know the right resources to tap into to make your dream a reality of getting into either your first or expanding your portfolio with a highly organized team that's incentivized to perform at a high level and to deliver results. And when you have that, so the other con I would add is you got to have the courage to really pursue what it is that you want. And because I'm sure, I can think about even things that I've done in the past where I sat on the sideline and I'm like, I'm just going to wait and see. I'm just going to wait and see. Right. And then a year passes and 5 years passes, and then you get busy, you get careers and promotions and then kids and then little league and stuff happens. Next thing you know, 10 years passes, 15 years passes, because I've had these conversations with investors and they say, God, I just wish I had done this sooner. And I was like, we all said that, right? But at least you hear now, you got the message, you're taking action because you recognize that sitting on the sideline for the 15 years did not improve your financial position exponentially like owning hard assets could. So I encourage anybody, whether you're going, God, I should have done this a long time ago, or versus I have the opportunity now. The opportunity is always present. You just have to understand that, and I think you and I are big proponents of this. If we know that investors or new investors really understand how real estate will benefit you financially over time, long term, if we can get that message, then usually the courage sort of follows through because it makes sense to them. They go, yeah, that does really make sense, but I'm really in fear. I've been afraid because what am I going to lose? Like I've had this, I remember this one investor, he's like, and I know it was a lot of money for him and his wife, not huge income type careers, but they had saved, some money and they really wanted to do this. And his, him and his wife, when they were on the phone with me, they're just like, it's a lot of money that we've saved and we just don't want to lose it. And I had to stop them there. And I just said, why are you thinking about what you're going to lose When if you just focused on what you're going to gain, there's a difference between the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. And I recognize it because I was there once before myself. And I know that that resonates with maybe some of the listeners here, but it is, you will only know the benefit of doing something if you actually do something. You will not know the benefits. You will remain unaware of the benefits of wealth building through hard assets like real estate if you choose to just take the wait and see approach and sit on the sideline and watch Goldman Sachs, watch Seewing, watch myself, watch other investors, maybe your friends or coworkers who are buying and taking the opportunity to whatever down payment they have, acquire another asset. And kind of going back to your first, one of your first slides, Seewing, is when you talked about, the pros and cons of owning real estate, whether as a primary homeowner or as a landlord, and tying in your ideal, why real estate pays you. What if you guys had 5 rental properties that were valued at $100,000 a piece each, and they appreciated like they did in the last, 12 months, 19%. I'm just going to round it up to 20 to make it easy for the math on me, right? But that's fine. Gets earning 20% on top of $500,000. It's just money that shows up. But if you wouldn't have that, if you didn't, put your money in the game, put your money on the table, take calculated, educated risk, understand that there are ways that you can win and lose in real estate. But if you align yourself with people who are incentivized to help you win, then it makes it less scary and easier to do.
As a matter of fact, Maureen, we're going to talk about that very topic on our next module. So once again, you beat me to it, but nevertheless, the past 3 minutes is a powerful core message. So we need to record this. Actually, I'm recording it.
Listen to it, replay it, listen to it.
Multiple, as a repetition. I say it again. Repetition is the mother of all learnings. So yeah. Remember, when I used to see watch a movie, I may not, able to get the whole scoop of it at the first time I watched the movie. So next time I watch the same movie, then something, trigger something just, oh, I get it. So,
you pick up more things. We picked up things. I picked up more things in my 13. I still keep picking up more things. I still listen to webinars. I tune into people that are in the real estate space, right? Because the fundamentals haven't changed no matter who you're listening to, whether it's Grant Cardone or Marco Kozlowski or Keith Weinhold or MC Lobster. It doesn't matter who the speaker is. If they are in the real estate space, these are like the 5 ways that real estate pays us. It's ingrained in our minds. Those are the fundamentals. You get the fundamentals and it makes sense. And I love it when investors go to me, they'll say, because I'll take them through the calculations, on appreciation, depreciation, loan pay down, hedge against inflation, and cash flow. And when I do that, literally, it's just the math makes sense. And that's when the light bulb goes on, and it's like you almost see the fear and sort of the fear subside, the courage come up, the confidence come up, and then they wind up buying their first investment property. So I've got one little quick story right here, as I know we're wrapping it up. A really good investor of mine, her name's Deanna. She reached out to me, had never invested in real estate before, didn't even tell her boyfriend at the time that she was doing it. She did this on the down low. She didn't tell anybody because she didn't want anyone to be naysayers and talk her out of something that she had worked up the courage to do, because I spent a lot of time with her, educating her in the space. I just got a text message from her yesterday. She has 3 rental properties with us. And she was like, and she had talked to the customer service team manager that works directly with her. And she goes, I am so grateful for you and for Spartan, for what you guys have done, because I'm in a much better financial position now than even when I was before I bought these 3 rental properties. So thank you. It's like, and that's what we do it for. is her life will be, her financial future looks very solid, even more solid than it did prior to her entering into the real estate space. So those are the things that lift us up, light us up, encourage us, motivate us to keep doing these types of videos so that we can get through to the next investor who wants to take control of their financial future, hedge out inflation, get the cash flow that they want, earn through the equity growth piece of it, where they can take that out and purchase another property that will produce cash flow and give them all the other benefits. So they wash, rinse, and repeat. And when we get to be the influencers, I guess we're influencers, Seewing. We're influencers. We get people to do that. It benefits them. And so that's what makes us feel good at the end of the day.
Well, Maureen, you are on a roll. So, wow, you just anyway, nothing else needs to be said. I mean, you have covered, you have empowered, your message is so powerful. Keep it up, impact one investor at a time. I'm doing the same thing. We have a lot of great case histories to discuss. So this is all good. I mean, we all, we enjoy what we're doing. We do it with a passion, and we get the reward, and we get some great testimonies from past clients over the years. So good.
And if you want to talk to our clients, ask us. We'll put you in touch with them. They'll give you their whole experience. And I love it when, especially someone that's brand new, someone like Deanna, who could walk another potentially new real estate investor through her experience, right? Because she's walked through it. She's walked through and has gone through it. And then she could really articulate what it's like and understand you on a level that maybe someone that's more experienced you wouldn't be able to relate to. So anyway, that is an invitation. I will throw that out there. If anybody is interested in talking to any of our clients, happy to connect you with them.
Absolutely. Very well said. Thank you so much, Maureen McCann from Spartan Invest, and my name is Seewing Yi from the Real Listen Network. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.